Not going live.
Nope.
Why is it not? Oh, we are. Are we?
We're live.
We're live.
All right.
Yeah. Let's go. Finally, after fucking what feels like years of trying to get a fucking live going, we finally sorted it. Good afternoon, Reds. Welcome to a breaking news show live on a Saturday. Been a while since we've done one of these, but we do have an article to discuss with plenty of detail in there. So let me just pop it on your screen for you. We're going to talk about tactical identity and predictability. We're going to talk about power dynamics and internal tension, club culture issues, leaks, and academy and recruitment details as well. This article is from Nathan Salt from the Daily Mail, who talks about a lot of stuff kind of bubbling beneath the surface. So I think it's going to be very interesting to get into
Chippy
it.
opens a fucking chocolate box.
Don't worry about the audio, mate.
Jesus Christ.
He was discussing off camera, going, I don't know if I should eat him or not. And then as soon as I start
this
live,
box on the live,
like fucking
as we
Babe,
can all
the
hear
film, the pig in the sty, just getting through his chocolate. My God. Right.
Chippy, do you realise these shows are live, right? Like, you understand
Yeah,
the
sorry.
concept.
Yeah, I just, sorry.
Mate,
Sorry.
you took into your chocolate. Don't worry about us. You put your mic on mute if you want. You sit there, and I'll come to you when we get to the point. Yeah. Right. What we're going to discuss is so Nathan Salt. The first bit that's I think is interesting is United's system and how it's too predictable and all this kind of stuff. And he mentions that Christopher Vell was alarmed after Marco Silva openly explained how Fulham exploited Manchester United. Vell shared Silva's comments internally and pushed for a tactical evolution. And obviously, we've since seen multiple teams and managers exploit these same issues, and it became a thing for a bit until Ruben Amorim's hand was kind of forced and he started tweaking things, which he has since gone back to with Wolves. But Sam, when you see quotes like this and you see articles like this, are there signs there that the hierarchy are getting maybe cold feet?
I mean, they have to be thinking about something with the results that are going on and what we're seeing on the pitch. Like, I can't imagine. I know the whole thing is they're backing him, and there's statistics that are saying he is improving, like with XG and passes and shots attempted, etc. But at the end of the day, football is a results-based like sport. So if you're not winning, then you're not really progressing. Like, you have to start winning and you have to start putting points on the table. Ultimately, United want to qualify for Europe. Because of the way the league is at the minute, we may well sleepwalk into a European place, not because we're quality or we're better than anybody else, but because everybody else is really, really shocking or inconsistent, and we might just like sort of walk into it without any sort of power of our own. If we wanted to, we could probably steal a Champions League place if we invested and got some players in and changed the system and stuff like that. We could probably steal a Champions League place because of the way the league is. But because he's stubborn with the system, because apparently we're not going to invest in January, we're probably going to end up with a Europa League, Europa Conference place by pure default. So I can't imagine they're happy with that, because they want United to be back at the top. They want to compete for a title in 2028, is it? I think that looks very far away at this point with the way we're going. So yeah, I can't imagine they're very happy, despite what they say publicly. Like I imagine internally there's a lot of sort of doubt, a lot of grumbling, as they would say.
Who knows the way the league's going this season? We might stumble our way to a title. I don't understand. I was still sixth place, to be honest with you. I'll probably go above Chelsea this weekend. It seems like someone's eventually going to get egg on the face, Shreyas, because Wilcox and everyone around him, they're the guys who brought Amorim in, right? He was their guy. Now there seems to be a bit of, I don't know whatever you want to call it, tension, if you want to call it that. But both should be held accountable, right? Whatever happens with Ruben Amorim in the future, whatever route we kind of go down, they have to be held accountable, and also for not acting as well. So what you're seeing with Chelsea at the minute, where which is just craziness, but they've moved on Enzo Maresco, but he's on the same amount of points as us. So is that the correct decision that they've done with him? And, you know, when you make a comparison between both clubs, do you think that's the right decision that Chelsea have made? And do you think we should go down that path with Ruben Amorim? I know the different kind of situations.
The thing with, if we look at the, situation at Chelsea is, I don't think it's a good environment for any coach to actually, be in, because your hand is forced. The amount of control that the manager doesn't have on the squad, on the players that or positions he wants players in, in-game substitutions and decision making. It's not a good environment for any coach, especially a coach who is quite ambitious and actually wants to make a lot of the squad that he has inherited. It's not a good environment to be in. So I think it is more on the fault actually lies more on the side of the management that Chelsea has right now rather than the manager, because I think Maresca is actually a, quite a fine manager,
Yeah,
with
I
the way
agree.
he plays and how he wants to play. And I'm quite sure that by the time the season ends, he'll have, I think, not
Got,
maybe not City, maybe some
I think
other
it will
club,
be
but he'll
City
get top club.
shares.
Yeah,
I think it will be. I think Pep will leave
I
at the
think
end of the
if
season. I think he'll
I
go.
think if Pep does leave, he's probably their top choice. Like
Yeah.
as someone who can get in, and I think he'll do a decent job there as well. But with United, it's completely different because there are a lot of clashes, I would say, from when you have to look at it from the fans' perspective, then from the management's perspective, and the manager doesn't really do himself much favors as well with the type of decisions he makes during the games, the type of players he starts to pick, and again with the way certain players have been left out of the team, certain players being played out of position, it becomes quite difficult for the fans as well, because the moment you start to feel that this might be a turning point, or we started to actually get some results, and the way we perform in set games like West Ham, like the Everton game, or the past games that we had, it just completely sucks out even a single drop of confidence, not just from the players but from the fans as well, which makes it even more difficult for us to actually back not just the manager but the team as a
Yeah.
collective as well, because you just don't know what you're going to get out of them. you know
No.
they can go and beat Palace, they can go and beat their bogey teams in Brighton, but they lose to like they lose to teams like West Ham, who are drop points against West Ham, who are nowhere near to the mark when you have to compare it to the players that we've got. So I think at United, whatever decision they do make, they can't linger on it for too much, because if you do actually be hesitant again, you're actually writing the season off again. And right now there is still a lot that can be salvaged from this season. We are still, you know right now the gap isn't as much, well, when it comes to sixth place and fourth place, but eventually that gap will widen. Like I think 4 or 5 games down the line, that gap of 2 to 3 points will become 6, then 8, then 10. So if you allow yourself to lose points from the get-go and not act on it, you're just writing the season off.
It's interesting because we're in the January transfer window at the minute, Shreyas, and it looks like I think Chelsea might be going out and getting a centre back, potentially depending on what happens with the manager. Liverpool in a similar situation. City are going to go and get Antoine Semenyo. So 2 questions. 1, do you think Amorim's been back so far with the players that have been brought in? And number 2, should he be able to have funds to get players in January as well?
Yes and no. So yes for the first question and no for the second. I think he's been backed okay. Like, he hasn't been left out to dry from the start of the season. We got him Cunha, Mbeumo, and Sesko, which is good. We got him Euro. Did we get Euro for him? Or?
No. Euro was
No,
bought on
Euro
Ten
was
Hag,
for Ten Hag.
and then didn't even play for Ten Hag.
Was Euro Ten Hag?
Yeah,
okay.
didn't even play for him.
Oh,
No, he was injured one day. Do you remember? He got a big injury in
oh
pre-season.
yeah, that's true. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I think you can say that he was backed in the summer. We did try to get Baleba, but that was a really ambitious move that we pulled, which didn't work out. And I wasn't mad at us trying to get Baleba at the time. I'd rather us go for someone who's like a target, not just some random player just to make up the numbers. And based on what we had as far as squad players, I still think that we could be in a much better position now. When I heard about the issues that he's having, or the rumored issues that he's having with the board, as far as him making the comments saying there's not going to be any change to the team in January, to be honest, I was like music to my ears. Like
I knew he was going to say that.
Yeah, I was like, yes, finally, I'm starting to see something there, because this is how it starts. Like, we start to hear rumors about him and the manager and the board, and then it breaks down, and So like
He's
there's
sat in his
light.
lair with his chocolates just like that.
Oh
like.
mate, yeah. There's light at the end of the tunnel because I promise you, man. Like I wouldn't trust this guy with a penny anymore. Like we can, I know some people seem to think that if we make maybe one or two, signings, it could actually help us get into the, Champions League places. Well, at Everton, we could have made it into the Champions League places. At fucking Forest, bro, we had so many chances. You're trying to tell me that we just need 65 million to pay for another player to then. If you can't take those, if I was the manager of Manchester United or any business or whatever, like if you've been given the opportunity so many times to improve your performances, and you consistently do not take those chances, and you keep making the same mistakes again, why should I trust you with any bit of money? Like I can't. So I'm really happy that I'm hearing this, and I think we have enough players to take advantage of, to have taken advantage of the points that we lost. And also, just finally, I think Man United fans have this false sense of security because we're 3 points from 4th, but we're also 3 points from 12th.
Yeah,
right. So we've got Arsenal and Man City coming on the horizon. Is the 3rd of January now? By the end of if if in another 2-3 weeks, like we're in a different position, like how you will see how the sentiment is going to change. It's just because we're close to 4th and we're not looking behind, where we could easily, very very easily, as easy as it is to progress up the table, it's just as easy to fall down, and we could be 12th, 13th, 14th in a matter of 3 games.
Well, the article, Sam, goes on to mention that Jason Wilcox and Amorim have had ongoing discussions, but they've recently become tense. Amorim's public comments hint at frustration, especially around recruitment. His comments about no January signings added fuel to the fire, and his body language in recent meetings was noticeably cold. But do you think there is tension here now because of what we're seeing on the pitch? Because there was an evolution, and then there seems to be a bit of, I don't know what it is, we call it stubbornness, call it ego, call it whatever you want. Is the manager too stubborn? And do you think in his mind he's thinking, if I do change it and it works, I'm going to prove everyone right?
But that's what he has done, hasn't he? He did change it and it did work. Like, obviously, we still lost to Villa, but the performance was much improved. Like, arguably, like, really, really good performance. Really good performance against Bournemouth. Obviously, defensively, not as good. Like I've said, that he's shoring up. But I thought attacking-wise, we had one of our better halves against Bournemouth, like scored quite a few goals. And then he reverted for I don't know what reason against the worst team in the league, who've got 2 points, probably going to get relegated. And we could have easily put to the sword, scored a few goals, and we might feel a bit better going in towards Leeds tomorrow. But he reverted back, and it almost feels like, yeah, all these guys were telling me I need to change, I need to change, I need to change. He changed, and it looked better. And it almost feels like, well, I don't want all those people to be right now, so I'm going to go back to my system, just to stick the fingers up at the media or whoever. And it's like, it's almost self-sabotage at times. Like, the changes he makes in-game are self-sabotage. The changes he makes to the formation seems to be sabotage. The selection seems to be sabotage. Like, all this stuff he just seems to do. And it seems to be to the detriment of himself rather than to the benefit of the team.
Yeah.
And I feel like as a manager, you need to, like, obviously all managers have an ego. Like, that is the way it is. And you have to have an ego, because if you don't believe you're the best manager, you don't believe you can win, you shouldn't be a manager, because
I agree with that.
You lose faith. However, you would then have to have a certain level of acumen where you go, this ain't working, but I'm smart enough to work out another way or figure out a different way of doing things so I can be successful. Because the ultimate aim as a manager should be to win and be successful, and whatever that takes. If your system works, fantastic. You look like a genius. You're like, oh, my system's better. But if your system ain't working, you need to figure out another way. And Pep adapts arguably one of the best managers in the world. Fergie adapts, arguably one of the best managers in the world. Xabi Alonso's had to adapt at Madrid. Like, these other managers adapt and they change even when it's like goes against what their philosophy is. Oliver Glasner at Crystal Palace, he says his favourite formation is 4-4-2. That's what he prefers to play. But he realised he can't play that at Palace. So he's got back three, and it worked for him. Obviously, they're on a bad run at the minute, but it was working for him for a long period, won a trophy. So I don't know what it is. I don't know if he's clashing and he's getting pressure from upstairs to tell him he has to change, and he's getting pressure from the media. And then, you know, like how certain people, they get told, like, you need to do this, you need to do this, and then they go the opposite way, and they're like, nah, fuck all of you, I'm going to do this. Maybe there's a bit of that going on. I don't know. It's hard to know without being in those meetings and in those discussions to know. We can only speculate at this point, but on the pitch results, they're suffering as a result.
Just as a throw-out question to you, do any of you see this 3-4-2-1 working long-term if he gets it? I mean, Chivy's already answered this question, so you don't need to answer it, but if he gets in midfielders and wing-backs, does anyone have any sort of belief that he'll get it right?
If he got significant investment and we got the correct players, it'll work. But in that period, we are going to lose. We're going to get battered. We're going to not get European football, and we're going to slink down the table. So, what's the point of it? Are we just going to willing to suffer all the way through just so he can get the right players, or do we adapt and change and succeed with what we've got now, and then build upon that? Like, what's the best solution?
What does work mean? Because, like, it to be successful, it to be like a successful blueprint going forward. Is that what you're saying, Nick? Is that what you mean by it works?
Yeah, so let's say in the summer, right? Let's say we're bringing Elliot Anderson and Carlos Baliba on a wing back or something, right? We're bringing that quality in there, and you get the players back, the experienced players that you've got back. Do you think you could be competitive near the top of the table?
No, absolutely not. Because there would always be a midfield overload. Always. It's just what's going to happen every single time. It might have worked in the Portuguese league.
Yeah,
fair enough. It will not work in the Premier League. It can never work. There would always be that overload. Every time we win the ball back, there's always at least two. We're always outnumbered at some point. Whenever we're defending with 5. So there's loads of space in the midfield. So we're so easy to play against. This is the problem. So, and it doesn't matter how, you could get the best player in every position there. Human beings, we're human beings, we're flawed. We cannot guarantee, no player can guarantee 100% every single game. And this system needs the player to be 100% every single game. It's never going to work, man. So you guys just forget it. What he needs to do is go back to what he did in the first half against Newcastle. That's the only way he saves his job. Hopefully he doesn't, and he gets sacked, and we can move on.
But Shreyas, it's weird, isn't it? Because there seems to be a shame around being flexible and not sticking to one. I don't understand it. Like Liverpool, when you watched when they won the league last season, they could play probably 4 or 5 different styles. Like they could keep hold of the ball if they needed to. They could counter attack. They could defend deep. Like they could do multiple things and they change it sometimes based on their opponents. So why is the stubborn? I don't understand it. Why would the manager not do that if you see kind of fruits of your labor and you're seeing green shoots and all these kind of things? Why do you think he's being so stubborn with it?
I just don't. I think, again, you can understand it from the manager's side if he has to change or he doesn't have to change from his first 6 months in the job. And in the first 6 months that he was here, he had hundreds of opportunities to make a change. Considering he's just come in, we were nearing the 16th or 17th spot in the Prem table, and he's still stuck with how he wanted to play. So, considering what he did, I always knew that he's never going to change the way he plays. But the things that do bother me is, one, definitely, I don't think our attackers are that involved in the game. I think most of the times, like if you signed Konya, you signed Mbumo, why have you signed them? So that they can, affect the game while moving the ball forward. And I just don't think that they're on the ball enough. And I think players like Dallo and Dorgo are on the ball twice or thrice the number of times that I would want Konya or Mbumo to be on the ball. And the reason this thing works with Ahmad is because Ahmad is very intelligent in and around the box. He knows when to stretch the play and move out wide. He knows when to cut inside and go for a shot. That is why it works when you've got Ahmad and Mbumo playing on that right hand side. But
Because
in the
Ahmad is a
longer run,
winger.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. And in the longer run, it's not sustainable as well, because you cannot depend on, having Ahmad playing every single game. And even if you do get a replacement, you cannot bank on, playing these sort of wingers out wide, them having most of the ball, and then, them having to actually bomb back and bomb forward and then go backwards as well while defending. You're always going to be caught out in one way or another. And I don't mind playing a back five. I don't mind playing a this 3-4-2-1 formation, but it depends on how you are playing your players. Like, if even if you look at Palace, you look in. This has been mentioned so many times. Every single team plays a back three
yeah,
in games when they're trying
yeah,
to play the ball out from the back, or
yeah.
that when they're actually, trying to retain some possession. It's not the back three that is the problem. The problem is you're not playing to the player's strengths. And the reason it's worked with Bruno and Casemiro is because, again, they've got the experience, and at the same time they're smart enough to actually, alternate their style of play with how they want. Took them time to actually bed into this system as well. But players like Menu are not going to work. Players like Ugarte, they are never going to work in this system. And I know Ugarte has been really bad, but I know that if you play a three-man midfield where he just needs to win the ball back, pass it around to, his partner in the pivot, then he can carry the ball forward or just spray it out. He's going to work quite well, because that's the job he's good at. If you want him to be that sort of ball carrier in the midfield, someone who can look after the ball and retain position, that's not who he is. And that is exactly not what he was signed for. He was basically signed for, having that sort of energy, being able to win the ball back for the entire 90 minutes. That's it. So you're not playing to the player's strengths. And if you've signed Sesko, if you signed Cunha and Mbumo, I just don't think that we're creating as many clean chances for our striker. And I think Sesko is a good talent, but again, if we continue to, play the way we are playing right now, he's not even going to score 7 or 8 goals this season.
See, this is where I slightly disagree, because I think last season everyone was talking about how we didn't score goals and we only scored 40 as a team together, and we needed some significant investment in the attack. And every single metric you look at in the attacking sense is better. So when we're having this argument saying, "Oh, you can't just throw money at it or spend money to improve it," I disagree with that, because you can if you bring in better quality players. Like, I understand your points that you're making about, oh, well, it's always going to get overloaded. I don't think that's always the case in games. I think, like, when Mason Mount plays, for example, and you have a certain profile, he does drop into midfield and make their numbers up. And that's why we dominated that game at Aston Villa. So, again, it's a case, there's two sides to it. Like, I can see certain things working. I just think defensively more than anything, I think defensively, they've kept 2 clean sheets all season. You've conceded 30-odd goals already.
Yeah.
That's my main point with the system, defensively.
That's a really good point, Nick. It's just that's a really good point. But then the thing is, you can't win a title if you concede as much as we do. You can't win any title or progressing. And yes, we've improved in attack really. Like it's been a significant improvement. But the way we play allows teams to play through us easily. So if your defense isn't getting a really good sort of buffer right in the middle, then you're setting yourself up for failure. This is the problem. And we're conceding so many goals playing with 5 defenders. Like, it doesn't really make sense. We should be conceding less if we've got more defensive players on the pitch. But we're conceding more. So, yes, we might be scoring more goals, but we're conceding just as much as we are scoring, and that doesn't help us to progress. And I don't think we're conceding goals because of personnel. Well, it could be because of personnel, but then it's largely because of how easy it is for players to play through us. It's so easy. I mean, we allow players, whenever players have the ball, it's so easy to go from. But how many times have we seen that happen? You can count 4 or 5 touches and they're already at our 18 box.
Yeah.
So signings might improve the team, no doubt. I think my biggest issue there is we can't really produce anything that's sustainable going forward. We might see flashes of brilliance. We might win a game. We might go and beat Leeds 7-0, who knows, right? But then there's no guarantee that you go to the next game and then win 2-0. Like it's not guaranteed. It's only based on individual performance at the time. But what we need is a system that allows everybody to flourish. That makes it easier for, you take a player off, bring another one on, and the system sort of stays. So I don't think Amorim's biggest issue with and I'll say this on behalf of most fans, I don't think the problem, if we're playing well and losing, I think he'll still have a lot of people that believe in him, because then we'll be like, okay, we can see what's happening. And we know that if we have one or two other additions, yes. But then we're not playing well and we're losing, and it's just, I think that's the real issue here. But I agree with your point. Like if there have been improvements, and it's possibly largely due to the personnel that we've got. So
yeah, just going back to the article, Sam, kind of linked into this conversation. So on Amorim and the players and where they're at, usually we see when there's ever a bit of turmoil with the manager, that all the players are throwing him under the bus and they're not backing him, and all the usual kind of shit that you see, right? But he's saying certain players are a fan of this system. So Luke Shaw, Mason Mount, Aiden Heaven are quite comfortable in it, but there are others who prefer the back four and feel like they flourish more in it, and he should be a bit more adaptable. But should big players in this team, do you remember under Ten Hag when Varane and Casemiro and players like that were kind of not undermining him, but saying maybe you should switch it? I'm not saying listen to him because they're not managers, but can there be some form of compromise, or can there be some form of conversation around that with those kind of senior players? Or do you think you've lost the dressing room as soon as you start doing that?
No, there obviously has to be conversations, because at the end of the day, they're the guys that are going out on the pitch and trying to enact what it is you're trying to do. So you have to have some sort of trust and communication with them, because if you don't, why are they going to listen to you? They'll just do what they want on the pitch. Like, you need to have that back and forth. At the end of the day, it's on the manager. Like, the manager will get shot in the foot if it goes wrong, and he'll get the praise if it goes right. So it's down to him. If certain players are saying, "Oh, I prefer this," then you got to sort of take it with a grain of salt, because certain players might just be like, "I don't want to do the running," or "I don't want to do certain responsibilities," and things like that. But if you're clearly seeing results where you're doing a certain system, it's not working multiple times, but then you've tried something else and it is working, that's on the manager. The manager's choosing to do that. Now, obviously, Mason Mount, Luke Shaw, Aiden Heaven might prefer that back three, just as a sort of tactical thing that it might be better for them. But when we did a back four, Mason Mount performed well, Aiden Heaven performed well, like I thought Luke Shaw performed well. So it's not like they were worse off in that system. They were still very good. And I think this back three, this like back five, whatever you want to call it, I don't think there's any player who plays particularly well in this system who stands out and you go, this system actually, maybe Mason Mount, maybe. But apart from that, I don't see anybody who performs better. Who does perform better? Like Dorgu performs better in the back four. Bruno performs better with a back four. Like, I think so many much more players perform better in that system. And I think that's what you got to go to the majority. That's what you got to go with. And if certain if a minority amount of players don't like it, that's just a casualty of it is. But if a majority of players are underperforming and not playing well under your system, it's your system. So I think that's the way you got to look at it.
Before we get into the Leeds and Omar Barada, I'm going to ask you a difficult question. Enzo Maresca, would you take him right now if it meant Amorim going?
No.
No.
Interesting. All of you said no. Why, if I can ask, if you can expand on it a little bit, why not?
Me personally, just to keep it short, me personally, I prefer a target that's been scouted and that we've been looked into. I wouldn't be comfortable because it would appear to be a little bit too hasty without any, just knee jerk. I don't like that.
Okay, Sam, if you want to expand?
Yeah, similar to Chivi. Like, it's just he's available, so we'll get him. Rather than he's a right guy, he plays an interesting. I'm sure he does play an interesting style of football, and I'm sure we've not, like Chivi said, we've not scouted him, not had talks with him, we've not gone this is what we want to do with the team. It's just like, he's available, let's get him. Similar to how we used to approach players. Oh, Jadon Sancho's available, let's get him. Oh, Cristiano Ronaldo's available, let's get him. Oh, Varane's available, let's get him. With no actual plan of like, okay, once he's here, what are we doing? Like, if he was the plan all along, I mean, he's been on a list and stuff, then fine. But it just seems like he's available, get him. That's what it seems like to me.
Shreyas.
Yeah, I think the team is genuinely in a very delicate position right now as it stands in the table. And we've already seen it last season as well, that when we sacked one manager and got another in the hope of things becoming better, they became much, much, much more worse. And we just somehow, we came away with that season somehow in the position that we did. But I think right now, if you're going to replace him, you better have someone who you know what you're getting with. Because with Amorim, they knew he's not going to be adaptable. They knew he's going to be stubborn. He's going to play this way. Do you have the players to play the way he wants to play? Do you not have the required players right now? Or, you need to wait it out till the summer, get the manager in, see what he can work with, see what he cannot work with, and then invest into the squad. So you need to be very organized with how you move right now, because this team cannot have another season like it did last year, that you sack the manager midway into the season, you get someone else in, it doesn't work out, and United again starts falling through the table. You need to be very, very careful now, considering this is your guy. This is the first manager that Ineos have brought in. If you're going to sack him and get someone else in, you need to at least get someone in who can bring you results.
Yeah. Well, just to add fuel to the fire, again, this is going back to the article. So apparently United launched an internal inquiry after a formation switch leaked before the Bournemouth game. CEO Omar Barada was particularly angry. Nothing new, obviously. We've seen this countless times before in the past. But Sam, again, when you have these kind of leaks and questions over the dressing room and staff unity creep in, does it feel like you're starting to see some... I know we're saying about cold feet before, but do you think he'll last his job, basically? Do you think this will stay how it is until the summer and then a decision will be made? Or do you think it could start becoming quite fractious?
Unless an absolute catastrophe of like results and we end up finishing close to 15th again, I think he keeps his job till the summer regardless. I think that's what's going to happen. Obviously, if he goes on like a 7 losing run or something like and get battered, then that might change. But as it stands right now, I think he keeps his job till the summer at least. In the summer, there might be a conversation. Obviously, he's got a year left after this season on his deal. So obviously, payout's not going to be as bad. So they could look to assess options there. I'm sure they're checking on certain managers right now and having conversations behind closed doors, because they did while Ten Hag was in charge, didn't they? They interviewed Tuchel, Thomas Frank, and there's De Zerbi. Did they interview De Zerbi?
Yeah.
They interviewed a bunch of people, didn't they? So I'm sure those conversations are going on behind closed doors right now. So they'll hopefully have a plan in place. If they obviously this is their guys, Jason Wilcox's guys, so they're going to give him every opportunity to succeed and stuff. But ultimately, it comes down to them, and it's going to look as a failure on them if they do sack him, because it's like, you sacked Ten Hag to bring this guy in early and you gave him a massive scope. You let him have a terrible first season. Results have not gone well this season and you're still giving him time. So if it doesn't work, it looks bad on them. So then the fans are going to be like, well, do we trust them to make a decision about the right manager? Do we trust them to go out and get a different manager? So it not only fractures their relationship internally, but it fractures the fans' relationship, because they lose trust. They lose faith in that Ineos and know what they're doing. And obviously the Glazers are still there at the end of the day as well. So it doesn't really help anybody at that stage.
For me at the minute, I think you've got to be really efficient and almost cold with the way you're going to go about your business, because the period we're in at the minute, you can see Joshua Zirkzee leave the club. You can see Kobbie Mainoo leave the club. Garnacho's already gone, whatever people think about him. I've certainly got an opinion on that. Rasmus Højlund's going and seeing him doing really well in Napoli now and things like this. So they're making a lot of their decisions based on the manager at the minute in terms of players leaving and who they're bringing in. I know you might say, okay, well, Mbeumo and Cunha can play in a different system, and obviously they could, because, again, they're flexible players and versatile players. do we not need to be careful a little bit about that? Like, one way or another, I know they've been consistently backing Ruben Amorim anyway, but you can't let it get past the January transfer window and then pull the trigger, kind of a month afterwards when results start to get bad. I just feel like there's a bit of a worry there going into these kind of future games. Like, if you're going to make your decision, I'd rather make it now. New year, make the decision, bring the manager in, and then go from there. I don't want it getting a month down the line. We've lost fucking 4 or 5 games in a row. And then like, oh yeah, we're going to have to take him out. And then like, it feels like you crawl into the end of, do you know what I'm saying? The end of the line for the Premier League, especially when things like Champions League is involved. We've got an FA Cup tie against Brighton coming in as well. So again, this just feels like a familiar conversation that we have every single fucking year with this club.
Yeah.
However, speaking about young players that we've let go, there was something reported before about players. So something to do with the contract. So teenagers at United, and I found this crazy, right? So one teenager was on £25,000 a week, had a house bought for him, was given a Range Rover. Another one was offered 220k over 2 years, but his father demanded 70k extra. You're seeing all these contracts, lucrative contracts now with young kids. And I know Ineos is going down the route of, bringing in these young stars and talent. But in general, just again, throwaway question. Are we losing control of youth players? And is it a little bit dangerous when you're seeing the kind of money that's being offered at the moment, Shreyas? Offered at the moment, I should say.
I think definitely, the evaluations that are being mentioned is a bit scary, considering if I have to look at it in that way, what we are investing in the youth academy, are you getting that sort of valuation out of it with the players that you've got in, with the amount that you've invested? Are you getting that sort of effectiveness on the pitch? Are
they
these
even
players
play? Are they going to
exactly?
get on the pitch?
Are they even going to feature for the first team, be a mainstay in that team or not? There are still a lot of questions to be answered, and in the past few seasons, it really hasn't gone down well for us when you have to look at it from the academy perspective. We've had like 1 or 2 players coming in who've actually been in and around the squad, and the rest of them you see them play a couple of games and then they are shipped out. So I think again we need to see a lot more from the academy, no doubt, and Ineos have been looking into it quite keenly, that you need to get the right sort of youngsters in who can have an impact on the team in the coming future. But unless you see results, you can only speculate, and maybe like 3 or 4 years down the line, you see this whole new setup of academy players coming into the team and actually doing quite good, and people are going to look at this and go, money well spent. But if you don't see that sort of results coming in and players are just being shipped out to championship or League One clubs, you're just going to look at it as a failure.
Yeah, I think this debate's interesting. Everyone who's joined us as well, there's quite a few of us in the chat, very, very quiet. So any opinions, any questions, any conversation, get it in there. More than happy to read it out. We've seen recently, Civir, Amorim talk about entitlement with young players, and they have to earn their opportunity. Where's your head at with that kind of academy balance and management in a minute? Is he managing them right, or do you think he's getting it totally wrong with the academy players?
I'll just add something to what to the question you asked Shreyas. I think the article has been a little bit exaggerated. I refuse to believe that we gave it. I mean, Kobe Mino is still on 25k. Yeah. So unless they're talking about him, what teenager was given £25,000 a week? Like that's. I don't believe that article, to be honest. I think it might have been a little bit more exaggerated, because that's just ridiculous. Yeah, I agree with the manager's comments as far as youth entitlement. Like, you don't just get to play for Manchester United because you're an academy player. Like, you have to earn your spot in the team. So I 100% believe in him. Believe in that statement. However, I think he's probably the worst manager we've had as far as the youth coming through in a very long time. I think the longer we keep him, I think our academy will suffer. Because every position that you bring people in is usually, it would be a high risk sort of position. The way we play requires for matured, established, players with a matured, way of thinking. You might find an aid in heaven here and there, which is great, But But I think just going forward, like with our attackers, it will be very difficult playing them in this system. And I think the way he manages them is so far from what we've seen. I'm not Carrington, so I don't know the conversations he has with them. I can only go by what I see on the pitch, and what I see on the pitch is quite bizarre, to be honest. With how he brought Jack Fletcher for Xerxes, and then he brings Bendito Mantato on, and I mean, it was. Those are not the kind of games that you bring this kind of players on, as far as we know. So his management of them, I don't know, man. I think it's just really bizarre, because he wasn't doing this before. Then all of a sudden he's like, "Oh, I've got a youth team. Let's just chuck them in." That's what it comes across as. So it's hard to judge so far how good he will be in the future. But I think so far he's been terrible. And when you have rumors of Kobe due to leave, you have top players like JJ Gabriel with Barcelona, Real Madrid, PSG circling around him. You've got, other attacking talent in the academy. You can't trust him to make any appearances. So that's going to be a tough one, man. We're going to have to choose, honestly.
But is it fair to say, Sam, and again, I'm playing devil's advocate here as the host, so is it fair to say maybe the players just aren't good enough who are in the academy at the minute? Because when you did see them come on in the game the other day, they didn't exactly pull up trees. There was nothing that I went, oh my God, that stood out about the players. Because there seems to be this rallying call, don't there? Just play the players. Yeah. Sometimes they're not good enough.
Yeah, no, that is often the case. Sometimes players aren't good enough. We saw last year people were begging for Cheeto to come in. Yeah. He played a few games. He looked out of his depth, if I'm honest. Looked like he was over the physicality. Was a bit too much for him, which is to be expected. He's a 17, 18-year-old kid. He's not fully developed yet. He did get more shots off than Højlund did for us, which is a positive and stuff like that, which is what we were looking for. However, sometimes it is too much for young players. Sometimes it is very rare that young players come in and absolutely take stuff by storm. Like, it's very rare. Like, you look at the likes of Wayne Rooney, Lamine Yamal, Kobe Mainoo. Like, it doesn't happen very often where a player comes in, you go, oh my God, he's ready. Like, it doesn't happen very often. It's normally like, let's try him out. All right, he's not quite ready. Let's put him on loan. Let's develop and stuff like that. That's how it should go. Like Chivy said, down 1-0 to something, or like losing the game or trying to get back into the game is not the time to bring on a young player for his debut and go, sort it out. Like, that's just not the time to do it. The time to do it is when you're winning 3-0 against the game and given minutes in a positive environment. Like, I don't understand, when we're 4-1 up against Wolves, we had an opportunity 15, 20 minutes for the end to put Shea Lacey on. Why not? Like, what harm is that going to do, bringing Shea Lacey on for 20 minutes when you're 4-1 up? Like, it's just, that's the perfect time. And he just refused to do it. So that's a worry. I spoke to a journalist today, you know what it is, Nick, and they said that Jason Wilcox is undoing a lot of work that Nick Cox did as academy director, he's now gone to Everton. Wilcox is undoing a lot of the good work that he did. So that worries me. That really worries me that we're sort of moving to a model.
What does that mean?
I'll fill you in off camera. I'll fill you in off camera.
Right, okay.
That worries me, because it looks like we're going to a similar system to like Chelsea, where we're just developing young players and youth players for a profit.
I think
and
football
just like
in general is going that way.
Yeah, you're right. But like, occasionally you'd like to see a youth player break in and stay in the team, wouldn't you? Just so you've got that connection with the club and stuff like that. But it just seems like Chelsea, the reason Maresca left was because he was being forced to put players on the pitch that he didn't necessarily tactically think worked, but they wanted to increase their value and potentially sell for bigger money, which that's not how it should work. It should work is the player's good enough and the player's like fits in the system, given the opportunity. So I think that's part of it as well. That's the way, like you said, the football seems to be going. And it makes you sad, really. But the manager isn't helping either with the way he introduces youth players. Like, that doesn't help matters either. I think the correct way is you test them out, see what they got. If they need a loan, cool, put them on loan. Harry Amas has just won back-to-back Player of the Months for Sheffield Wednesday. Seems like it's going well for him, so I'm really glad there. I think Sekou Kone is going to go to, is it Lausanne, I believe?
Yeah,
on loan, so there's a good option there. We've recalled Toby Collier. Obviously, that didn't go too well. Ahmad is the ultimate success story, isn't it? Went to Rangers, didn't really work. Went to Sunderland, absolutely killed it. Just come back and he's smashed it. That is the perfect example right there.
I think Heaven deserves a shout as well. Definitely.
Heaven. Yeah.
Coming into the team, and there's a lot of young, talented players there, which is like, I know he's not playing necessarily academy talents, but
no.
Le Mans is 23, Yoro's 19, 20, Heaven's 19, 20. Dog, who's young, like there's a lot of young players in that team.
The goalie, even the goalie's like 23, isn't he?
Exactly,
like Le Mans,
yeah. By the way, if you're going to put the lottery on, I would do it today because Wolves are beating West Ham 3-0. So if there's any bit of time,
absolutely mad.
I would do it right now. Last questions in the comments section, and then we'll head off. T-Race Vivo saying, guys, what do you think about that Wilcox and Amorim story? For me, I have watched Amorim throwing away so many points. I think we kind of covered that largely at the start anyway.
Scroll back.
Yeah. Gold Trader 25, are you positive that we are going to do any signings in January? As it stands right now, what would you all say, yes or no?
No.
Signings in January? No, I'd probably...
Not unless we sell Xerxes.
I agree.
Like that.
If we sell Xerxes, they'll definitely bring... Who it'll be, I don't know, but I think they'll bring in an attacker for sure. And to be honest, I wouldn't be mad at that, personally. How are we all, lads? Hope Xmas sounds weird when you say it. Christmas was sound for you. In regards to the kids, do you not think Ruben is just trying to get the result first? I mean, it's all well and good introducing a youth player to a winning team just when the first team is struggling.
Yeah, I agree.
That's a fair point. Yeah, that's fair. Tamishan says United signing midfielder number 1, Anderson, Carlos Baliba, Neves, Mateta. Mateta's not a midfielder, so okay. But yeah, I'll end on that question, lads. If you could bring in one player in this window, who would it be? And I know you're going to say, I don't want Amorim to buy a player. I know that's going to be but theoretically, if you could bring in a realistic player right now in January, who would it be?
Shreyas, answer the question.
Angelo Steeler.
Is that realistic?
35 million.
35 million.
Ruben Neves, 20 million. Like, it's not hard. It's not difficult. We've got 65 million. Like, so we're prepared to spend it on Semenyo. So we've got 65 million. So,
I mean, Mainu definitely isn't starting then, is it? To bring in.
He wasn't going to start anyway.
He wasn't going to start anyway.
Yeah.
I agree with Sam. I would go with Neves. Like, hypothetically, if we had to get someone, I'd probably go with Ruben Neves hypothetically because, I can't think of anyone else.
No.
He's out of contract. He's out of contract this year.
Yeah.
So you get him for relatively cheap. He's Premier League experience. He's 27, 28. He's the good age. I don't see the downside. And it'd be good for squad depth. So say you do qualify for Europe next season, you've got a good squad depth player there. Like you think so. I don't see the downside. I really don't.
Frustrates.
I mean, seeing that we possibly might lose at least 2 out of that midfield 3 at the end of the season.
Yeah.
I think he'll be a good addition. You bring some maturity to the midfield, sort of thing. He's an intelligent player, sort of player. So I wouldn't want to get like a striker or anything, like because I don't see any striker.
We don't need a forward. We don't need a forward. There's not too many forwards.
I disagree.
Who would you go get?
I would like an experienced striker.
Like who? Give me a name.
For example, Calvert-Lewin at Leeds at the minute. I mentioned it yesterday. Who's doing really, really well.
Well, he was offered to us, wasn't he?
31. You can bring in. Who's I know he was, but I'm saying that type of. I'm not saying him specifically. I'm saying I want someone to come in who's a bit experienced. I've said it a few weeks ago. Someone like Olivier Giroud a few years ago, just to take that pressure off a little bit, because I think obviously with Sesko's ridiculously young. Xerxes, for whatever reason, in this system isn't cutting it. I want to see someone come in and just hit the ground running a little bit and scoring from that striker role and bring that experience to players around, especially in a time like this at the minute. Even if it's a loan, like it's not signing permanent.
Is Cavani still available? Is Cavani still about? Can we get Cavani?
He just retired.
He retired.
Exactly. Yeah. Get him out of retirement like we did with Scholes. Bring Cavani back. and fucking get Cavani in there. Yeah, something like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, honestly, this period, like, I wouldn't mind a little bit of, like, Glazer behavior. You understand? Getting like a loan. Yeah, do the whole Glazer thing. Like, get a loan, get like a caretaker manager to take us to the end of the season, and whilst we shop for a new one, sort of thing.
Bring Ragnick back.
Yeah,
I would. Back in.
I honestly wouldn't mind that. To be honest, like, just someone to just see us through until the season ends, because the way it's going, I'm not sure. But then, just get a striker, man. Like, even that Mateta guy.
That Mateta guy, as if he's not like a premium striker in the Premier League, is like. But yeah, that would be nice. I mean, Crystal Palace are never ever going to do that, but I think that's a great example. You bring in Mateta.
He is he's out of contract in July.
Mate, you've got to test the waters with that. I think Mateta, but it's the way he plays as well, I think it'd be perfect for us.
He's a bully as well. Like, he's physical. He'll make defenders' lives really difficult. And Palace
play a similar system.
Yeah, and his link-up play is really good as well.
Yeah.
He's really good link-up play.
I think that's a great shout.
It's really, really good. Just one more thing about the striker thing. Like, I might have mentioned this before, but the way we play, it just starves the strikers completely. It starves them. So having a matured striker at the very least, helps us to keep possession, kind of feed it to the other players. But if we're going to expect goals, I don't know if it was, I was talking to Nick, I was talking to someone, I was like, we're never going to get 10 goals from Sesko or from anyone else.
Yeah.
It's just never going to happen. So, especially with players that are that young and all that. So I would really like to have someone who's more matured, sort of, more economical with the ball.
Yeah, I think the stats say that as well. When you look at, typically when you look at someone like Haaland, Watkins, players like this in the league.
0 touch. It's like 2 touches, isn't it?
Not even just that, like the shots on goal that they're having per game. It's like 4 or 5 shots on target or whatever it is per game.
They're clinical.
Sesko's averaging 1.5 per game. Yeah. So even from a statistical point of view, like, it's just not enough.
But also, like, Haaland is clinical. Like you said, 4 or 5 shots, he'll get 2 goals. Sesko had 2 really, really good opportunities the other day, and he didn't put them away. And that's the difference, like, between an elite striker and an all right striker. Like, if you're not going to get many opportunities, the opportunity you have to bag it. You have to do it.
Yeah, 100%. That's probably a good place to leave it, lads. Appreciate every single one of you who've been involved. There's been absolutely loads in the chat, which is nice to see. If you could be as kind to leave a like on the video for us, and who you would sign in January, if you could, get that in the comment section, because I know not everybody watches this show live as well. For any news around United and the Leeds game, we'll all be over on our Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok as well. And then we'll be live for the game tomorrow, pre-match and post-match. So please do come and join us, because it's a bit of a rivalry in it against Leeds. More for the old boys, but the atmosphere is going to be interesting at Ellen Road. So appreciate you all. Appreciate Civir, Shreyas.